Hello, everybody. How are you this beautiful day that the Lord has made? I'm Carin Jane Casey on the podcast Turn to God with Carin. And on Fridays, it's Carin's Book Corner, where I share a little bit about books I've written or reviews of books written by other people. This month, October, is known as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And in keeping with that, I will be sharing with you my first book that I wrote, My Dear Rosa Jean. It's all about getting into, living through, and getting out of domestic violence. So, My Dear Rosa Jean, you can find this book at my website, carinjanecasey.com, and from there you can contact me or purchase this book or other books. This month's series is Overcoming Abuse, where I share the backstory of my book, My Dear Rosa Jean, on October 1st, and if you haven't heard it or watched it, I hope you'll go back to that episode. Today I will be sharing the red warning flags as per my own experience, and then on October 29th I will share the process of my overcoming. I'll attempt to share the red warning flags as they cropped up that I should have noticed along my dreadful journey into domestic violence. And please know that My Dear Rosa Jean was written as a truthful fiction. Let this cautionary tale be taken seriously in your life. Immediately upon our meeting, my abuser was very attentive and charming, seemingly caring about me very quickly. What were the red flags? Rushing that relationship along at higher and higher levels very quickly. It was called a whirlwind romance. Well, what did onlookers think? They were impressed at his level of caring about me and encouraged me to ignore my initial instinctive concerns. Dating went to living together, to buying a house together, to marriage, all within 6 months. And although I did see his family a couple times, he supposedly didn't have any friends to speak of because of his moving. That was another red flag. He liked to isolate my time and attention toward him alone. Well, of course, early in a relationship, you're not so against that. He liked to take charge of small decisions, such as what to order at the restaurant, where we might go, increasing the financial decisions. Even helped me in buying a car, and all of that was appreciated because he had more savvy and he was smarter than me. Scary red flags leading to that marriage. Explaining the need, the reasonableness for us both to get a $200,000 life insurance policy. Insisting on a prenup and that I prove my trust for him in the wording of it. The logic for him to be the financial controller, since he had demonstrated his savvy and experience as we went to buy my car and then later in buying a house. What were some severe red flags after marriage? Well, he supposedly had a fit of rage only 2 weeks later and tried to kill me. Only by God's grace did I escape. And he profusely apologized, saying he was out of control, never happened again, and that I had caused him to be upset. He would spend the rest of his life making it up for me. Here, my belief was that forgiveness meant to drop charges and go back to my abuser. Well, I know that's hard to understand, that you would go back to someone who actually tried to kill you. But how many women in domestic violence can resonate with this? Let me read a portion to you on pages 86 through 88, Rosa Jean explaining it to her Aunt Grace. Sometime during my second week stay at the women's shelter, Brad called while I was at work. Just hearing his voice filled my heart with mixed emotions. Love, anger, and sadness, weighing more than anything. I missed him. Yes, I heard myself agree to meet him at our home. I could hardly sleep. My heart ached for him. I don't recall much detail surrounding our meeting other than the fact my anger had already left me. I was in a loving and forgiving mode. Hindsight tells me I sure put myself through a great deal of needless extra pain. Anyway, right after I left the women's shelter, Brad met with me. Filled with emotion, I was almost like a stranger stepping into my own home. Although I acted cool when we greeted, my heart raced. I wanted to hug and kiss him right on the spot, but a part of me wanted to use caution, wondering if he was at all sorry for what he did. Brad profusely apologized for the abuses, while at the same time he denied much of it happening. He insisted he had no intentions of killing me. Then Brad hung his head and cried while wringing his hands, saying he was out of control and he couldn't help it. Brad begged me to forgive him. He was aggressively affectionate and spoke of our future all the while, professing his love for me. More than for any other reason, I could not accept or face it that this man I'd been married to for only a few weeks had tried to kill me. My brain could not accept it. My heart could not accept it. My mind searched for ways to reject that ugly honeymoon. Brad admitted he couldn't help it. He was out of control. I wanted to do the Christian thing and forgive him and pray he would change. Somewhere deep inside, I realized that he did try to kill me for the life insurance money. People have murdered for less. I buried those thoughts. After all, what if he really didn't mean for it to go that far? I did not want to give up. And I still had hope for that happily ever after. So I forgave him, and we reconciled. Surely, I thought, if he intended any further harm once we reconciled, I'd have automatic protection from him at trying it again. After all, the police, the neighbors, were all aware of the incident. Surely, too, Brad would be thankful I forgave him. He'd spend the rest of his life making it up to me and proving he is the only loving husband he was supposed to be. Well, it didn't happen that way. He insisted I got unwanted tattoos to prove my love for him. He lost his job, and although seemingly he looked for another one, he did not ever go back to work during our whole relationship. Further isolation. He seriously fought my talking with or having any contact or relationships with friends, co-workers other than at work, and even family. He stressed that I was getting old. I was looking old. I was overweight and ugly. He tried to convince me that I was losing my mind when he was gaslighting me. My dog of several years suddenly disappeared while I was at work. Let me read the portion to you, page 109 through 110, Rosa Jean telling her Aunt Grace about that incident. My children and I had a pet we adored as part of our family, a small and fluffy little rust-colored Pomeranian named Roscoe. Before I met Brad, Roscoe was a gift from my deceased husband. Roscoe was with my family while the children grew up. Roscoe had been with me as my constant companion for 11 years. Brad wasn't mean to Roscoe, but he made it clear he'd rather not have a pet. I came home from work one day, and Roscoe didn't greet me. I searched for him throughout the house, urgently calling his name. I asked Brad where Roscoe was, and Brad calmly explained. Roscoe pissed in my office, so I gave him away. He's gone. No matter what I said or did, Brad never told me more. No names, no other information was given. Finally, I decided to believe, for my own peace of mind, that he gave Roscoe away to a loving family. I needed to believe my sweet little Roscoe was happy and at peace somewhere. Then my abuser attempted to cause me to lose my job, even though my income was the only money coming in. He made me late for work, with badgering and throwing coffee on my clothing so I had to change, and he was physically attacking me before work so it would always make me late. He called constantly while I was working. And, I often didn't answer, and then I would get yelled at when I got home. He sometimes showed up at work, and that was really bad. Okay, what was the end of that abusive relationship? What was the final straw? And there always is a final straw when you can't take it anymore. Well, he made it clear that he had another woman. He was not monogamous, as I had thought. He was a player. And he had refused to share financial information with me, and I found out that he had not been paying bills for 3 months. Well, 3 months of not paying bills, you can't catch up. You can't catch up, especially if it's including a mortgage. His hitting me had progressed to beatings and then regular torture of various types. He seemed to like to have a variety there. I had to file bankruptcy and included my house, and I filed divorce at the same time. He contested it, bringing about federal charges against me that I had falsified the information in the bankruptcy, and it was costly for me to gather information to prove that his allegations were not true. Reasons that he had was to hurt me and to stay in a foreclosed home, during that proceeding. He kidnapped me for a weekend, and then he tried to persuade me to commit suicide, since I no longer had hope. But you know what? God had another plan for me, and he caused me to have a means of escape. So why do I share these red flags with you? Because there is nothing unique about an abuser. They use the same manual. The same characteristics of an abuser, the same red flags. They may be creative with how they do their abusive pattern, but there's nothing new under the sun with them. In my scenario, he wanted me to work. And in that, I had 8 hours a day free of him. In other scenarios, the man doesn't, well, usually it's a man, the abuser doesn't want the victim to be out of the home, so they have better control. And in my situation, my children were grown. That's not always the case either. With many other victims, they have no job opportunity and they have small children. So it's a very serious matter for not just them, but the children as well. I want to tell you now, if you find that you are suffering any of these red flags at all or other abuses, please call 911 if this is an emergency. Consider going to the local women's shelter for resource information. Speak with professionals about an escape plan, especially if you have children. And then call this hotline number. This is important. The National Domestic Violence Hotline number is this: 1-800-799-7233. SAFE. I have more resource material information available at my website, CarinJaneCasey.com. This is Carin's Book Corner, available every Friday. We have new presentations every first and third Friday, and this month, of course, we have a new presentation October 29th. As you may know, Turn to God with Carin has episodes on Monday, which is Hope and Faith Journey, where we cover various topics with encouragement and healing through our challenges. And then every Wednesday, we have Sword of the Spirit, where we actually read or study passages in the Bible. This is Carin Jane Casey, author, speaker, podcaster, domestic violence victim advocate, and ambassador for Christ. Please go to my website's contact page to send me your comments, your suggestions. Any feedback is always welcome. And you can get more information about domestic violence and purchase my books, especially my Dear Rosa Jean. And that is, my website again is CarinJaneCasey.com. Well, thank you and God bless.